Democratic Congressman Krishnamoorthi is a member of the House Intelligence and Oversight Committees, and so, Congressman, welcome back. It's nice to see you.
Thank you, Brooke.
So, you are part of, these committees who've now subpoenaed these two men. We have actually, just in the last 60 seconds, my producer just got in my ear and told us that the Wall Street Journal is now reporting that, I guess, prior to going to Dulles, to take a one-way ticket somewhere out of town, that they lunched with Rudy Giuliani in Washington. I see you shaking your head. What's your response to all of this?
Well, just another slow fake news day in Washington and elsewhere. But, the reason why there's so much focus on these two individuals, in addition to what we heard at the news conference about their campaign finance violations, is that they allegedly helped Giuliani and President Trump in pressuring the Ukrainian government to basically smear Joe Biden,
yes,
right, and meddle in our democracy. And so these folks have a lot of knowledge about that alleged pressure campaign, as well as attempts to, remove Ambassador Yovanovitch and other folks who may have tried to stand in the way of that pressure campaign.
So you bring up Yovanovitch. She is supposed to meet with your committee tomorrow. We saw what happened to EU Ambassador Gordon Sunland, who just this week was blocked by the State Department from testifying. And so we know that the former Ambassador Yovanovitch is a current state employee. Is it possible that the State Department blocks her from testifying in front of you tomorrow?
It is.
And what would you do about it?
It is possible. Unfortunately, the Trump administration has taken up a strategy of stonewalling and delaying any kind of production of testimony or documents. In the case of Mr. Sunland, we then subpoenaed him directly and said, we are asking you directly to produce documents and produce testimony before our committee. That may be a tool that we use in this case, although I defer to Chairman Schiff on what comes next. But in any case, Ambassador Yovanovitch has a lot of useful information about really fleshing out what is this alleged scheme and who was involved with it.
What if she wants to play ball with you all? What if she wants to show up on her own volition? Are there any protections in place for her?
Well, she could show up in reaction or in response to a personal subpoena, potentially. In terms of protections, as we know, there are whistleblower statutes for people who want to come forward with evidence of wrongdoing, and they are protected under that statute. What I'm always concerned about is that, obviously, in this case, the president knows her identity. He knows that she was somehow in the way of his alleged pressure scheme with Ukraine. He referenced her in the call transcript, so I'd be very concerned about him retaliating against her. So we'd have to definitely look out for her interests as well.
Yeah. In this indictment, these two Giuliani associates, quote, committed to raise $20,000 or more for then sitting U.S. Congressman who's referred to in this indictment as Congressman 1. And so CNN's reporting that Congressman 1 was then Congressman Pete Sessions of Texas. By the way, 7 days ago, he announced that he'd be running for Congress in another district of Texas. So what trouble might he be in?
I don't know. I don't want to comment on those specific allegations against him, although, if there was any effort to essentially provide campaign donations in exchange for assisting in a pressure campaign or trying to remove someone as an ambassador to the Ukraine, that could be problems for somebody.
Let's talk about where Americans are on impeachment. So this Fox News poll now finds 51% of registered voters want President Trump impeached and removed from office. That is up 9 points from July. And we're seeing a lot of your colleagues across the aisle ignoring a lot of these questions on impeachment. Might these polls, coming from some of their own constituents, sway their opinions?
It could. I think that right now, the American people want this impeachment inquiry to go forward, and this Fox News poll says they want us to do even more than just go forward with an inquiry. In this climate, I think stalling or stonewalling the inquiry will not play well with the American people. They would view that as basically getting in the way of trying to get answers and get to the bottom of the allegations and the whistleblower complaint, which is very, very serious.
So last question. I do want to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire a little bit.
Okay.
Or Tim Naftali was sitting in your seat yesterday as a Nixon expert and historian. He was doing that.
My feet are getting warm.
I just want to look down at my notes. So his point was going back to the Democrats in 1973, like, you know, obviously Watergate area, that they bent over backwards to make the process appear fair, to make it bipartisan,
Sure.
to allow for Republicans to have cover, so that the Republican Party should eventually and could eventually say Nixon needs to go. And you know, his point was that it wasn't about Democrats versus Nixon, and that this shouldn't be about Democrats versus President Trump, that it should be about America standing up for its Constitution against a lawless president. So how will your party, moving forward, bend over backwards, be bipartisan in this effort?
Sure. Well, you know, I'm part of these hearings and closed-door hearings and testimony as part of the Intel Committee, and I can say that our chairman has done everything he can to basically elicit voluntary cooperation from the Trump administration. If that doesn't work, then resorting to subpoenas, but really trying to accommodate any kind of legitimate objections in the production of certain information. But if you completely stonewall and delay and block and obstruct the inquiry, that's a whole matter altogether. And so I don't think that they can claim that the process is unfair when they're not even participating. You know, they have to get involved and actually, at this point, bring forward all evidence that could bear on the allegations of the complaint. Right now, my humble opinion, Brooke, is that the American people think that there's a presumption that something very wrong happened. They saw the July 25th transcript, they've seen the whistleblower complaint, and so it's almost as though the Republicans and the White House need to come forward with all evidence to illuminate the situation and see if there's anything that mitigates. We're willing to look at everything. This is a sad moment for America. None of us came to Congress to impeach a president, but now we have to do our duty. We have to follow the facts wherever they lead.
Right. Congressman Krishnamoorthi,
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so
Nice
much.
to have you back.
Thank you.